Fred Klaassen, 28 years old, Kent County Cricket Club, and I'm a left-arm opening bowler. Well, growing up in New Zealand, I think just naturally sport is a big part of most people's families in New Zealand. But definitely just family background. My granddad was a cricketer and a rugby player. My brother I always followed. He's 5 years older than me, so I always followed him in his footsteps as well. Played rugby and cricket and tennis and golf and things like that. And yeah, my parents obviously got us into sports a lot when we were young. Yeah, I think so. I think I was lucky, I suppose. My parents got me to play as many sports as I like, and I love playing sport. That's why I grew up, and that was all I wanted to do. You know, probably should have been doing a bit more homework, a bit more reading, perhaps, but definitely love playing sport. And I think cricket was just sort of the one I was probably most successful at. I seemed to make rep teams playing cricket, and I think just naturally that's what I stuck to. Well, I have always had a Dutch passport. My grandfather was Dutch. He was born in Eindhoven. He moved to New Zealand after World War II, after he was fighting in Indonesia. And he met my grandmother, who's a New Zealander, and they had 7 children, and they've lived in Auckland their whole life. My dad was the eldest of the 7. So me, my brother and sister all had Dutch passports from the day we were born. Obviously grew up in New Zealand and Australia. Mostly I'm a New Zealander as well. Went to school in New Zealand and Australia, and then went to uni in New Zealand. And then after I finished uni, had my first, went overseas to play some club cricket in the UK. So played a season in Norwich, and then I played a season in Scotland. And at that time, the 2015 World Cup qualifiers were on, and they put a League 11 side together where we played some warm-up games, played against Canada, and then we're supposed to play against the Netherlands, which actually got rained out. But that's when I was first made contact with the Dutch team. Joran Smit was the first person I got in touch with. And from there, I came over and played a couple of Netherlands A's games at the end of the season, and then the following year I signed for VRA and played my first club season in Holland. Well, yeah. So we made finals day. It was just 2 days ago on Saturday as Kent, which is we hadn't done in a few years. It was the first time for me. I've been at Kent for three seasons now. So yeah, it was obviously a massive day. It was a bit of apprehensiveness going into the game, going into the day. Definitely a lot of emotions and things like that. The semi-final, we had to play Sussex, which was a huge game. They've been a very strong T20 side for quite a few years now, and it was a massive game. We managed to beat them quite well, to be fair. But it was strange to, the emotions of winning such a big game in the semi-final, but also sort of all came to a head. The realization that the final was actually in an hour and a half. So trying to get over that kind of, you're so happy and sort of ecstatic about the win, but knowing you're only halfway through the day. So that for mentally, that was quite emotional roller coaster, really. Trying to relax and also prepare at the same time for the final was quite difficult. So once the final came, so that hour and a half went very quickly. Sort of warmed up. We went out there. We were all sort of running off the last game, so there wasn't a lot of warming up to do, I suppose. It was sort of just more settling the nerves. And I actually, when I went out to bowl, actually sort of felt a bit of cramp coming on. So we won the toss. We actually lost the toss, and we were batting. So I had a bit of time before I was bowling again. So managed to go back to the change room and sort of get a few salts on board and things like that. And then when we went out to warm up to bowl before our bowling innings, felt the cramp come on a bit. So that was a little bit worrying going into the game, and knowing that I was probably going to be bowling the second over. Didn't actually know what to really do at that stage. So sort of mentioned it to our bowling coach, our assistant coach, who then said I'd need to speak to the captain about it just in case he wanted to change anything tactically. And managed to get through a couple of overs, took a wicket, which was okay. And I think everyone was feeling it, to be fair, physically. I think it's such a testing day, it's so full on. But managed to get through the game unscathed and to get the win. It was it was great. It was great to be part of. You're on the big stage, aren't you, of the Vitaly Blast? The crowd was pretty hectic. I think, yeah, my experience taking from Vitaly Blast, but even playing in a few bigger games that I played in this year, and being involved with the 100 with Manchester Originals, I think I enjoy. I don't really get. It doesn't get too much for me. I think when you first experience playing in front of a big crowd or in these big games, it can get, the nerves can get the better of you. But I think just naturally you sort of become I don't know, accustomed to it. Like, you still get nervous, but I suppose it's changing that nervous energy into positiveness, actually like thriving under the nervous energy rather than shying away from it. So I think definitely in the for finals day for me, I definitely went into it wanting to be aggressive, sort of wanting to leave everything out there on the field, and it seemed to come out all right, and it came into fruition, I suppose, especially in the semi-final. I thought I bowled quite well. So I'm looking to take that into the World Cup as well, especially playing against the big nations. Yeah. Obviously, can't look too far forward. We need to get through that first round first. 3 massive games. But as I say, we also had those nerves in 2019 for the qualifiers as well. We were playing it was big games there. So I think as a squad, we are quite experienced playing in the big moments. So I look forward to it. I look forward to our success. Playing with a 45-year-old teammate, Darren Stevens. The evergreen Darren Stevens. He's part of folklore back where I'm living at the moment in Canterbury. Mate, it's awesome. To be fair, playing with him, you don't think he's a 45-year-old. He's got the energy of an 18-year-old. If you ask, he wouldn't think he was 45 at all. But with that age, obviously comes experience. So. It wasn't surprising that he did very well in the finals day, on the big stage, because he knows, he's experienced that, and he actually played in the last time that Kent won finals day, which was 14 years ago. So, mate, it's a great learning experience. Always, learning off him. So I've been with Kent for 3 years now, so I've got to know him quite well. Spent a bit of time with him off the field as well, which is always nice. Well, what I expect from our team this coming World Cup, I suppose we had a very successful qualifiers, and I don't think that was a surprise with sort of the preparation that we had and sort of our mindset, and our role clarity was really important for our team, and I think that was how we succeeded quite nicely in winning that qualifier. So I think there's a lot we can take from 2019. Obviously, it's even another step up, because it's the actual World Cup now. We're actually playing some of the test playing nations, but again, it's 2 years on from that, and we've grown as a side as well. We've just seen in the Super League games against Ireland, where we might not have had our strongest team, but still defeated them 2-1. So I think we take a lot from that. I've now been part of the Dutch side for about 4 years now, and even since I've come in, there's a real belief about our team, knowing that we can upset some of the big teams, and it's great going in as the underdogs. But we are an underdog side, but we've got world-class players in our team as well. So it's almost like we've got the good players without the title, without the label, which is plays into our advantage a lot. And I think some of the big nations will know that we're a bit of a dark horse, that we probably won't be taken lightly. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
All good?
For now.
That's it for now. So a bit of rambling.